Ready to decorate those underwear? I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of wearing underwear, so this week I came up with 4 different ways that you can decorate either underwear you plan to make or underwear you already have. Ready? Here's method number 1. This first method is painting with dye. I've done it before, even this exact pattern on my Sally gloves, so clearly these are Sally-inspired underwear, but it's a great method and I love to show it off. Seriously, look how much I can stretch it. So for this technique, here's what you need. Some kind of dye that you want to color with. I chose black and blue in Tulip One Step because it's really easy to use. Some cardboard that you can stretch the garment over. I chose to mangle some cereal boxes. Make sure you have the non-coated or absorbent side touching the garment. Then just activate your dye, which for Tulip One Step just involves adding water. Take out a paintbrush and get to painting. Now, this technique works great for amorphous shapes. It's kind of controlled chaos because in some places the dye is going to spread more than others. It's semi-dependent on the humidity of the air and how thick the garment is. I'm not joking. So, places where it's okay if things get a little funky, this works great. But for things like logos, this may not work so well. The other thing about this technique is that Tulip One Step only works on cotton or rayon. It doesn't work on polyester. There are polyester dyes, but I haven't heard that they're great for creating like a dark line on a colored piece of fabric, so similar to what we're doing right here. You can give them a try, but I don't really guarantee them. It's easiest to find cotton and rayon underwear if you make it yourself, and if you do, I recommend not putting on the stretch lace, which is the other thing. If you have underwear and it's got everything on it, the dye may spread into the elastic and or stretch lace. Hence, again, why I kind of prefer just to do this technique on underwear I've made myself, because then I don't have to worry about it because I just haven't put it on yet. The last downside is multiple colors, because essentially in order for me to add this black and not have it immediately bleed into the blue, I had to let the blue set for 8 hours, rinse out all the excess dye, and completely let it dry. So it's a little time consuming, but you get these great different colors and everything stretches beautifully and it's not going to flake off like it would if it was screen printed on. This next technique works great for logos, especially single color logos or logos where the colors don't necessarily sit next to each other. As you can see, I've got a LexCorp logo in honor of a certain friend of mine. So, for this technique, here's what you need. 2-way stretch, non-fray fabric. You'll find this kind of stuff in the dancewear/swim section of your fabric store. Then just cut out the shapes you want. I like to do this with underwear I've made again, but you can totally do this with underwear that you bought. It's great, it doesn't matter what material it's working on, this technique always works. Just cut out the shapes, pin them down where you want them to go, and sew around the perimeter with a zigzag stitch. Do not use a satin stitch, you will regret it. Then you're done. Everything should be fully attached and very stretchy. Next up, how to use fabric paint on underwear. It is a little bit more complicated than it seems, but I'm so pleased with these. They make me so happy. Here's what you need. First, you need a pair of underwear. Second, you need a piece of cardboard to stretch the underwear out over. Third, you need a paintbrush. And fourth, you need some fabric paint. I like to also use a water-soluble pencil to sketch out what I'm doing first, but it's kind of dependent on your skill level. Mine's pretty low. The rules are really simple. If you're painting a horizontal line, don't make it too long and don't connect them. Second, try to keep all solid blocks of color either really small or not in your design. Lastly, just try and keep your design as vertical as possible. Let everything sit and dry and then throw in the wash to get rid of any pencil marks that are left over if you used a water-soluble pencil. Alright, lastly, the Superman pair that's kind of in progress. As you can see, I have got the emblem on there and it stretches just fine. Here's what you need. You need underwear, cardboard, and contact paper that has your design traced on the side that has plastic on it, not the side that has paper. I like to just use the front of the underwear and stretch it out over a piece of cardboard using pins. Then center your design as best you can, possibly trim off some of the excess because you don't need that much. The reason I like to do this with just the front is because I find it easiest not to spill any bleach on fabric that just isn't in the room. Then peel off your plastic designs and start laying them down according to the stencil. I like to use the reverse, so the other piece you get, to help me lay all the pieces down correctly, especially for something complex like the Superman symbol. press the contact paper down to make sure it's nice and sealed. Then take a solution that's 50% water and 50% bleach and an applicator of some sort. I like this sponge applicator, but I've done this with paper towels and Q-tips before. Then dip your applicator into the bleach water solution, squeeze most of the bleach water out, and then lightly apply it to your stencil. The trick to getting this right is to do very light layers of bleach and to wait a while in between layers to see if you like the color or not. Once it's the color you want it to be, dunk the whole thing in cold water to stop the reaction. The downside of this technique is that it has to be done on cotton or rayon. Bleach doesn't work on polyester, trust me. I've tried dropping pure bleach on polyester, nothing happens. Well, I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I hope you give some of these techniques a try and or just try wearing geeky underwear. It makes me super happy.